kind of nervous.
Why?
I don't know. I mean,
Oh no,
we
because
haven't
this
done
is
this for
I'm
a
not
while.
nervous
You
for this
guys have
one,
done
no.
this
no, because this is like no one's gonna see this. That's the point of
That's
it, right?
true.
Yeah.
Like the point of it is that no one's gonna see it. So
That's true. Roll the music.
Pod.
So, Toy Story. I didn't really plan how to start this. Do you know what I mean?
you're the gaffer. You're in charge.
Yeah. Hello and welcome to the.
I might just riff a little bit. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the debut episode of There's a Pod in My Boot. Yay! I'm your host for this episode, Will.
Hello. My name is Aaron. Thank you.
Hello, my name. 3 words in and the voice crack already.
You don't get a retry. You don't get a redo. That's it. You don't get a
That's
redo.
I'll one take for the whole thing. Oh.
That's one take. This is live, isn't it?
Yeah. Hello, my name is James.
Great. Let's get that clean one more time.
Hello, my name is James.
Yeah.
just let me gargle some water.
You know what you should do? A really good warm up is to hum and go. Stops your voice
Mm.
Hello and welcome to the debut episode of There's a Pod in My Boot. With me, your host for this week, Will.
And my name is Aaron.
And James.
I'm so excited to be here with you boys. A little bit of context for people, obviously, people who are listening to this. We are just 3 long-time friends. We used to have a radio show together back at university, and we just thought with the second wave of lockdown hitting the United Kingdom, why not get together and talk about the thing that the 3 of us like the most? Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah.
I was going to
think so.
say know the most about, but I think
Yeah, well, it's a Fortnite podcast, so we all play a lot of Fortnite. We all game a lot, so I think it's a safe bet to say that that's it for all 3 of us.
exactly. So for this episode, we're going to start with one of my favorite films from my childhood. Definitely not my favorite, like the top favorite. I thought we'd save that for a bit later down the line, but Toy Story from 1995. Straight away, I just want to ask you boys, starting with James, what did you think about this?
Throwback. There was a lot of it I couldn't remember. I think the fact that it was 25 years old is astonishing. I never knew that it was that old going into it. I thought it was a like 99, 2000 film. It's just a classic, isn't it? There's not much more you can say than classic. Hot take, out of the 4 Toy Stories that have been released, not the first, it's not the second, probably the 3rd best of all of them.
Oh, I thought you just meant in terms of release, and I was about to say no, it is
No.
definitely the first.
In terms of
Factually incorrect.
Toy Story 1 is number 1.
The first.
I mean, it is number 1.
I
in
can't
terms of
believe
quality,
I don't know. Are we jumping straight into ranking it? Because that in its own right is, if we're ranking all the Toy Stories, that's a big deal. It's a big deal.
I mean, we can cut that. We'll leave it at the fact that I said it's a classic.
Yeah, and I will. And Aaron, what did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was. I love it, and as well, like 25 years old is mad, because I remember when I was younger, of course, we had it on VHS and I would watch it all the time, and it just felt like one of those films that came out when I was young, because it felt so brand new. Like it felt so brand new, even though it had been out probably 5 years by the time I got around to watching it. Like it felt brand new, so it's amazing. But I was saying to you boys last night that I wanted to watch it before I went to bed, and ended up not getting into bed and starting it until about 11 o'clock. So I was like, okay, I'll watch half of it now, and then I'll finish it the next day, because I'm going to fall asleep. Like I'm bound to fall asleep. I couldn't, like, it's just so good. I couldn't stop watching it, man. I was hooked. And it's contrary to you, James. There was bits which I had forgotten, but when I was watching it back again, I was like, nostalgia just kept hitting me and hitting me. I love it, man. It's an amazing film. I think it's beautiful.
What was the most nostalgia kick for you in that film, watching it back and going, oh, this is sort of throwing you back 15, 16, 17 years?
Yeah, it was definitely Pizza Planet. Man, that place looks so cool. Like the
Yeah.
restaurant, and I remember like watching it. I always used to think, I got to go to this place. I got to go there. And I think in Disneyland Paris, they've got like a close version of that. And I remember walking past it, and it's sort of if you know, my memory could be way off here, but I think it's right up like the top end of one of the parks, and it's kind of tucked away and hidden. And we just like walked past it, and I remember looking at it being like, Mom, Pizza Planet. And she was just like, the hardest no ever. And we just beeline past it. So I got to like look outside of Pizza Planet, but I never got to see it. So, you know, I'd love to go to Pizza Planet, but I don't know whether it's real or not.
So when I was kind of talking about this to you boys, definitely love it. Like I said, I kind of recommended this film for this first episode of the podcast. I think it's a great bit of animation, definitely still holds up today, and it obviously pioneered quite a lot of Pixar style and animation today, I guess, in general as well. When I started doing some research for this, I was trying to think about what can we say that has never been said before. And as I was reading more and more into it, it became very abundantly clear that that's just not possible. There's so much to cover on this kind of film. Its importance is significant in the past, but I did just track down a little bit of like bullet points of how it came to be, just in case you guys didn't know. The film came out in 1995. It was directed by John Lasseter, who is probably most famously known as kind of the head of Pixar and the director for quite a lot of their most popular films and most award-winning films. He started at Disney in 1979, and when he joined, he's quoted as saying that 101 Dalmatians was where Disney had reached their highest plateau, and everything after that just felt monotonous and repetitive.
Controversial.
Until 1982, so for the 3 years he kind of was working there, he was feeling a bit bummed out and didn't feel like he was really making art that he wanted to. But when 1982 came around, he was invited to work on Tron, and that was the first time that he could see CGI being used to add depth, whereas previously they had just used the multiplane camera on the animation. Obviously we studied that quite extensively at university, maybe too much.
Yeah.
After seeing Tron and the CGI that they put into it, he went to go work for ILM, Industrial Light and Magic. That was in 1984, so 2 years after. And with them, he worked on a film called Young Sherlock Holmes, which, if you guys remember from our final year of university, was the first film to feature a fully CGI character. And that came out in 1985, so the next year.
I obviously wasn't listening in that class. I don't
No.
remember.
That was my
I
presentation.
don't remember.
Oh no.
Oh, was it? Was it actually?
Yeah,
Was it?
for ILM. You bastard.
Oh shit! No, because I was listening to yours.
Yeah,
Of course
definitely.
I was, but I don't. No, I was straight up because you did it on Zoom.
I did
in the pandemic. I
did.
remember.
And I had a clip from
I
Young
remember
Sherlock Holmes.
because you went straight after me. I don't remember the clip. That's not your fault. That's the film's fault.
I
That's
don't
the
remember.
film's fault. It's a forgettable film.
Sure.
No, it's that's what I'm saying. It's not your fault. It's the film's fault.
Well,
Or my fault. It's not my fault either.
it's fine. I figured. A few years later, obviously working at Lucasfilm for ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, owned by George Lucas, who made Star Wars. George Lucas got divorced, and it financially crippled him, so he had to sell Lucasfilm Computer Graphics, which at that point was renamed to Pixar Computer Graphics. Steve Jobs, actually of Apple fame, became the primary stakeholder. I don't know if you guys noticed, on this film, he's listed as like the executive producer. He didn't actually work on the film himself, but his money kind of held it up.
Never knew that. That's an interesting fact.
I did not know that. To talk about the names as well.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a bit. But shortly after it released, Toy Story won the Special Achievement Academy Award for progression in technology. And then Disney bought Pixar in 2006 and kind of rehired John Lasseter. And instead of working as the head of animation as he was before, he kind of got promoted to studio head and was reporting directly to Bob Iger, who was the CEO at the time. So it's kind of funny that John Lasseter, who when he first joined Disney, he was really worried about how they were repeating themselves and getting monotonous, when Bob Iger as the CEO bought Pixar. Because Bob Iger is very infamously quoted as saying that Disney have no obligation to make art. They have an obligation to make money. So his philosophy in the company was whatever sells the most is what they're going to pursue. And that went into parks, really, like theme parks. And that's why the Disney theme parks picked up in the 90s. But then you look at today and they continue that philosophy. Bob Iger's obviously not the CEO anymore, but with the acquisition of Marvel, Fox, and just buying up pretty much every major studio they can. It's quite interesting to see that kind of philosophy continue.
I think going back to you mentioned there that they won the Academy Award in '95 for, what was it, the progression in animation.
Yeah, the technical achievement.
When you watch Toy Story, you don't think technical achievement. Obviously, you admire the animation for the time, but you think, what an incredible story, what an imaginative sort of concept, idea, and world that so many people have bought into and have bought into, because what the franchise has lasted 24 years. And I think it's amazing to see that they so sort of critically acclaimed in terms of their technology and their advancements in animation, but also captured the love and interest of so many people across all different demographics.
Yeah, I think the fact that you don't necessarily notice it straight away is testament to just how good it is, because it's not something that sticks out as being extraordinary by today's standards. And the fact that it holds up so well 25 years later is testament to like how good a step forward it actually was in terms of that medium.
And you have to remember, it was the first feature-length, completely CGI animated film. So that's why it won the technical achievement. Obviously, by today's standards, does it hold up as well as Toy Story 4? Maybe not.
Yeah, but that's obvious, isn't it? Like, that's the thing. That's why it's like, I think it doesn't, you don't notice it. Like, you see some animations that are 25, 30 years old and you notice that they're that old. But it's not the case here, in my opinion anyway. It's not the case. I think it could have come out 5 years ago. No one would bat an eyelid.
That was actually one of the questions that I really wanted to ask you guys was, do you think the animation holds up? And if you think the film came out today or even 5 years ago, do you think it would get kind of insulted for how it looks? Because from my point of view, the design of the toys works really well because it kind of skips over the uncanny valley of it all. You stop thinking of them as like, that's a weird looking human. You start thinking of it as like, oh, well, their skin is meant to look like plastic.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? I mean, if you're talking about it in terms of the uncanny, we could talk for ages about how, oddly enough, these toys coming to life, which should by virtue come across as being really uncanny and unsettling, it actually isn't. And for me, the only time that it is when you see Sid's toys, which is strange because you see kind of like a deformed version of something that shouldn't be endowed with life anyway. But it's only the deformed version of that actually comes across as being unsettling in an uncanny way for me personally. Whereas like, maybe it's because you sort of grow up with them, but like Buzz and Woody and all those toys, you don't get that same unrest that you get, in my opinion.
No, I completely agree. And in fact, the things that I was more put off by are the humans in the film.
Yeah.
Like,
is that because
they definitely stand out, like I said, where the toys are designed specifically to bridge that gap of uncanny valley, and like it looks kind of realistic but not at the same time, so it's fine because they're toys.
Sid's sister, she's the creepiest one.
Exactly. Their eyes look way too big for their heads. Their skin looks really like waxy. It just
you're so right, because you take for granted the fact that the toys are toys, like they're just toys, they're not humans, obviously. But then I can totally see where you're coming from. And like I said, Sid and his sister, man, they're creepy as hell.
I think the one thing you do notice from perhaps the first Toy Story to the most recent number 4 is the facial expressions that Woody pulls. It's very sort of one face the whole time until he is hit on the head or he's in the back of the truck and he is hit by the toolbox, and then he does these sort of caricatured face expressions. That's when I felt most uncomfortable. And I looked at it thinking, oh, that doesn't look quite right. Like, why is he doing that? But I think in the latter films, there is so much more sort of human face expressions where he's changing every single second. Whereas in the first one, it was making a point of him making a facial expression that was different to what it is normally. And I think that was the thing that was the most sort of unnerving, I would say, in terms of if you were to actually keep it and look into why is a toy actually making a human face.
With that kind of context of the story of Toy Story and the story that went into Pixar, I wanted to talk about the fact that Toy Story kind of plays into that Disney philosophy that they have an obligation to make money for their shareholders and nothing else. They're not obliged to make art. They're not obliged to win awards. They have to make money. This film is, on its surface level, a promotion for toys. You take your kids to see the film, they then see the toy in the shop and they're like, I want to buy that toy. Did you ever have any of the toys? Did you ever want any of the toys growing up?
Yeah, man. Yeah, of course I had a Buzz and a Woody. I'm sure they're still in the loft at home. James. I was a kid.
I was really being heartfelt there, and you completely sidelined that.
James, I loved my Woody.
Yeah, I had a
So
Woody
much.
too. I was given.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was given a Woody.
Yeah.
Good.
By who? Who gave you Woody?
Oh god.
Who gave you Woody, James? James, who gave you Woody? Did Mummy give you Woody?
You enjoy Woody. You enjoy Woody.
I just remember growing up and really wanting a Slinky dog, and I never got one.
Fuming. Why did you want him?
I don't know why I wanted that one in particular, because on the surface level, he's not very.
No, he's a real one. He's a real one because when they're all like exiling Woody, Slinky's the only one that wants to like hear him out because he's his best mate.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, like in terms of being a kid and wanting a toy, he's probably not the first pick for quite a lot of people.
You obviously were morally aligned with him, and his morals are sound.
But is he sound? Because this was the start of cancel culture. Did Toy Story mark the start of cancel culture? They cancelled Woody.
Oh, because they cancelled Woody.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what to say to that. I don't.
Yeah, you stumped us there.
Yeah. I would just say, if anything, Slinky, morally sound guy, dog.
Arguably, the most useful member of the little toy brigade.
Wrong. The car fucking saves their life at the end.
In this movie, but in the rest of them, there are many times when Slinky bridges the gap between things and grabs things.
He's the James Milner of the he's the James Milner of the Toy Story crew. Utility player, you can stick him anywhere and he'll do a job.
I think I had. I can't say it. I can't say it. I had the main cowboy character as a kid.
Whose name is
Tom Hanks.
You need to grow up, young man. Tom Hanks. You had a little Tom Hanks toy.
Yeah, no, I think I had Woody. I'm sure I had plenty of sort of memorabilia, books and magazines. You can go through all sorts of Disney memorabilia. They try and turn everything into something, don't they? I feel like I remember a water bottle, like a Woody-shaped water bottle, or like a Buzz Lightyear with him on the side or something.
Yeah, you put the Woody in your mouth.
Yeah, I was sucking Woody.
But speaking of merchandising,
Speaking of sucking Woody, let's see.
The 90s were kind of the kickstart for a lot of mainstream video games as well. So part of my research, I was looking up how many video games do the Toy Story characters appear in. And there are over 18, which was a shocking number for me, because I thought there would just be Toy Story 1, 2, 3, 4. Not even that.
That's a lot. Oh, they're in the Kingdom Hearts games, aren't they?
Are. That was on the top of my list. They're in Kingdom Hearts 3. Obviously came out in 2018.
I'm trying to think what other games I've played that they've come up in.
Well, I wrote down a couple, and I wanted to see if you guys have ever heard of or played this.
Yeah. Go for it.
The first one is called Buzz Lightyear of Star Command.
Right. This leads me on to something, because I have it on my phone searched right now, because this felt like some kind of weird lucid dream that I had as a kid that didn't exist, and I had to confirm that it was a real thing by searching it. And I remember that so vividly. I remember this in one scene, because it was released in 2000, so this is sort of more targeted towards us. This is when we would have been watching it as children, and it's the cartoon animated version. And I remember because he's fighting the bad, was it
Zorg, right?
Zorg, yeah, and
Zorg?
Yeah, and he has the shooters.
Zerg. I had this game.
Yeah, so I had this game as well. I think I had it for PS1, and it used to be my favorite game. And actually, because that film, Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, was a direct-to-video sequel, something that Disney were quite fond of doing at the time, I actually had a copy of that before I had at least a copy of, if not ever seen, Toy Story. So my first introduction to the Toy Story universe was that. And you're right, James. I remember thinking about this a couple of years ago and thinking that, like, did I make that up? Because there's no way that Toy Story was like 2D, right? Yeah. That movie, we might have to add that to the list of this podcast, because that is a corker of a film, if I remember correctly.
Had a great one thing I remember vividly, as even as a child, had a great color palette to it. I remember there's a scene where he's on the roof or something, and I think Zerk is trying to like knock him off, and there's this like red hue, sort of like a 2049 Blade Runner hue to it, and it looks incredible. I remember thinking, it's like, this is some weird film that I'm watching.
I just remember it being really colorful, really, really great. And kind of scary because, like I said, I watched this as like a young child, and if I remember correctly, I haven't seen this in years, but it's about the little green men being enslaved or something. We'll add it to the list. Aaron, have you ever seen this or played the game?
I feel like I definitely played the game, but I can't remember. My memory's really bad, you know. But I know that I had some sort of Buzz Lightyear game around that time. It must have been there.
Was the game? Couldn't you get like a downloadable version of the short film or something? Because it's only like 30 minutes long, right? It's not a full feature length film.
Not downloadable. I think it's like 50 minutes, but I definitely remember there being like clips from the film as like cutscenes.
Oh, this is like a weird wave of memories coming about. This is strange.
But
Yeah,
well, I mean, this might be an even weirder wave because arguably the more popular video game that I definitely played, and I had completely forgotten this existed, but it's called Disney's Extreme Skate.
No, no.
No.
I can't believe you guys have never heard of this. It's a PS2 game that's built on the same engine as Tony Hawk skateboarder games,
Epic. That's sick.
except the characters are Woody, Simba, and
Baby Tarzan.
Baby Tarzan.
You only get 3 characters. That's rubs. What's it called?
It's called Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure. And yeah, you can play as Tarzan, Buzz, Simba. I'm pretty sure you could play as Woody. Like maybe he was like an unlockable character. Oh,
That
no,
looks
do you know
incredible.
what?
Yeah, Woody. Ah,
You could play as like 2 characters from each.
Pumbaa as well.
Yeah, Pumbaa and then like the elephant from Tarzan.
No, the monkey, the ape.
No, the elephant. Definitely the elephant.
The case says differently. Will.
He was in it as well. I'm looking at it now. I'm looking at the picture. This is a blast from my past. I think this is the first video game I can remember playing like properly, which is why it's so weird for me now. But yeah, I just remember also they ran a competition where they chose 2 random kids in America to be in the game and you could play as them. And I remember distinctly hating that fact because why would I want to play as 2 random kids when I could play as Woody?
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. It's a fair point. I had no idea that game existed, but that looks like an absolute banger.
I mean, I think we'd all rather play it with Woody than 2 random kids. So
I'm not touching that.
Well, I kind of want to go back to the story of John Lasseter and Pixar for a minute and talk about a kind of dark side that happened to him. I don't know what it is with powerful men in Hollywood, but there seems to be a recurring theme where they can't keep their hands to themselves. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, they can't keep their Woody in its box.
In 2017 to early 2018, John Lasseter took a leave of absence due to sexual misconduct. What he later described as misstep, which I find interesting. Now, allegedly, he had been grabbing, kissing, and making comments on physical attributes of female colleagues. In later 2018, he actually left the company. And then in 2019, he was hired to Skydance Studios, which is an animation studio owned by Paramount. Their debut film, Luck, is slated to release in February 2022. What do you think of that?
I think that's going back to the case of it's Disney making money rather than quality content. Studio is more concerned with bringing in a well-established director, producer, member of the team, whatever you want to call it, bring in some expertise that he has from his Disney Pixar time because they know that's going to make money and they know that he knows the tricks and the tips rather than caring about any morality to it or any disgusting, behavior that shouldn't be condoned or that should be the end of the man's career if it's trialed and proven and if he's admitted it, if it's found in court, he shouldn't be hired again, especially for a major film that's up and coming as well.
Yeah, well, historically, Disney and morality don't exactly marry up together, do they? So I suppose this is
That is true.
somewhat true to form for them. But this isn't Disney, no. This is Paramount.
So
Yeah.
So Disney actually they told him to take a leave of absence and then he didn't return. So whether that means he was fired or if he quit or whatever.
Of course.
But only a year later he was hired to Skydance. So he is a producer on Luck, their debut film, which is slated for release in 2022. It's directed by Peggy Holmes, who is a director who has been working in the industry for quite a long time. Her directorial debut was in 2008 on The Little Mermaid, Ariel's Beginning, which was a direct-to-DVD sequel. She also had directed Mickey's Twice Upon a Christmas, Secret of the Wings, Pirate Fairy, and a Tinkerbell film. So it looks like Skydance has kind of gone around and collected a bunch of Disney alum and are kind of just throwing them into a pot together to see what comes out.
Yeah. If it works, it works. But you don't want to be picking up people with that sort of allegation hanging over. Was it just an allegation, or was he ever actually like prosecuted for something?
It was only alleged.
Right.
Obviously, he did leave, and he did describe his actions as missteps. And actually, when he joined Skydance, he issued a statement to the public. I've spent the last year away from the industry in a deep reflection, learning how my actions unintentionally made colleagues uncomfortable, which I deeply regret and apologize for. It has been humbling, but I believe it will make me a better leader.
So it was like he was in the room.
I know, yeah, I actually follow him in. But I find that really interesting that he says he's taken time away to reflect. He thinks it's going to make him a better leader.
Mm-hmm. Leader's weird, isn't it? Leader.
Yeah.
That's a weird way of ending the statement, for sure.
Yeah. Got like power trip written all over it. It seems like it's got a bit of a complex. But then if you're Mr. Toy Story, you probably would get a bit of a complex, wouldn't you?
But wonder if there's sort of a preempting, knowing that he was making this move, jumping the boat, and he hadn't known, would he have taken that time away? Was this a good sort of opportunity to step down from Pixar to have this time away and ultimately jump ship to another company? So cleaning a slate in the PR media world that everyone's sort of forgotten your name over the past 8 months and then slide back in the back door of another company.
I would totally agree. I just don't know if that is the case with John Lasseter, who, if he can just disappear for a year, 1 year, and then come back. Like, this man wrote and directed Toy Story, A Bug's Life, Toy Story 2, Cars 2, maybe not his proudest moment.
Debatable. Banger.
Like, he's been working on so many of the biggest films in Pixar's kind of legacy. He's even got producer credits on Monsters, Inc., Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, even like Howl's Moving Castle, all these Miyazaki films, because he was the executive producer for the US version. Pretty much any Pixar film you can think of, he had a finger in the pot in some way.
Yeah. Big name. You know, you do think that if he wanted to get work, he would be able to get work regardless of the allegations hanging over his head, because he's got that pedigree behind him and he's earned that. So then the discussion comes around, you know, do we accept the allegations over his head? And when I say we, I mean the people hiring him, of course, the employers. I don't have to accept anything. It's not my decision to make. And then you think, right, well, does morality come into it for them? Because like James said, there's this guy that has this huge pedigree about him. They know that it's a tried and tested formula with him. He knows what works. Do they really care? Do they care if it's going to make them money?
I guess not.
Should they care is a different question.
Absolutely.
Should they care is the different question. Like that's the crux of it, isn't it? I suppose. It's like, do they care? Probably not. Should they? Yes, and that's what the issue is.
Should there be a disclaimer on the film?
No. Did you say should there, or is there going to be?
The nonce worked on this film. Disclaimer.
Amazing. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, brilliant. So before every like Polanski film, they just have like a slate that comes up before the film.
God,
starts.
they'd have a field day, wouldn't they?
Do you know that's actually a thing now? It's called the Weinstein effect, where every big name in Hollywood is actually a terrible person.
What like actually? Or
Well, it's like a social theory that like.
oh,
So the Weinstein effect is you hear a name like in the news and it's like Kevin Spacey, sexual abuser, and you're like, oh, I liked him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just want to talk about Skydance Animation a bit more. Obviously, their first film is set to debut in 2022. They've already got 4 films lined up, ready to go, or at least being worked on at the moment. And they've just been, like I said, headhunting great animators and great animated directors. So they've kind of taken from DreamWorks Alessandro Coloni, who directed Kung Fu Panda 3, Vicky Jensen, who directed Shrek, which is obviously quite a big name, and then Nathan Greno, who directed Tangled. They obviously are being picked up, and they're trying to pick up as many big names as they can to kind of drive the marketing of their films, because obviously they don't have the power of a name that is Disney or DreamWorks. Today, if you say that, like a film by Disney, anyone's going to see it. A film by DreamWorks, most likely people are going to go see it.
mm-hmm.
Emma Thompson, the actress, God bless her, everyone's favorite English actress, was hired to work on Luck, but she actually quit after she heard that John Lasseter had been hired as a producer.
Wow, that's a brilliant move. I feel like you don't hear enough of that.
But this is another thing. Like, this is another thing with the power of social media and everything, is that influence will happen. Like, people will just drop out. Like, I can't remember the precise example, but there was something that happened recently with a record label where, like, the owner of the label was basically, he was facing a huge amount of allegations, and every artist on that label just left. And it's like they just lost their roster, like pretty much their entire roster. And it's like, okay, well, now you're done. And that would happen as well with films. I think if you lose like big talent, it's good. If you're looking at it through a cynical lens, like it's great PR for that actress. She was willing to turn down a paycheck in favor of her morals. That's going to look great on her. Like that's going to do her no end of favors.
Well, that's Emma Thompson, who obviously
Of course,
plays Nanny McPhee, and she was in Men in Black 3, and she was in Beauty and the Beast. She's in Harry Potter. Like she obviously doesn't need the work.
No, exactly, and that's why that's the cynical way to look at it. If you're looking at it like purely in terms of publicity and PR, you know, that's a cynical way. She's obviously just got a strong set of morals that she's done for her what is the right thing. It's brilliant.
But it is interesting to know that, like, I have definitely heard that of John Lasseter's allegations in the past, and I had heard that he'd been hired to this new studio in the past, but today is the first that I've heard of Emma Thompson resigning when it happened in 2019. I don't want to get too political, but it is kind of interesting to see what we give our attention to the most.
I don't give my attention to much.
So I think I'm done speaking about sexual harassment now. So we're going to play a game called Buzz or Woody. Who is the horniest toy? I'm going to throw it over to Aaron first.
Yeah, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be a part of this.
Let me start off by saying that I definitely think the horniest toy is Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm willing to hear for or against for other people.
Well, so do I have to pick Buzz or Woody? Is it like that 50-50, or can I stake a claim for others? If it's between the two of them, then it's obviously Woody for Bo Peep. Like he plays it a bit coy, but you know there's not just a snake in his boot. Let's put it that way. There's a snake somewhere around. Yeah. And she's not only good at rounding up the sheep, she can probably tame a snake too. So I think Woody, out of Woody and Buzz. But I would say, yeah.
But out of everyone?
Oh, Potato Head. Horn dog.
My favourite bit is just when they're waiting to see the presents come through the front door at the start, and he's just standing there going, Mrs. Potato Head, Mrs. Potato Head.
Yeah, that's it. That's right. This is what he wants. It's what he wants. I'm just trying to think if any of the other ones are, but they're not, are they? It's really just him. But I have a lot of time for Mr. Potato Head because he's that stereotypical Italian American accent. And they just like double down on it. You have to remind yourself that he's a potato.
And yeah, obviously that's the late great Don Rickles who.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Brilliant.
And just a bit of trivia again. I mean, I think this is pretty well known trivia by this point, but he died during the making of Toy Story 4.
Right. Yeah, of course he did.
So they had to stitch previous lines together to get him.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
It's crazy.
Brilliant.
Sure.
Brilliant.
What about you, James? Would you Mr. Potato Head for the horniest?
I mean, are we including just Toy Story 1 or are we going across the whole franchise? Because I've got a couple of contenders.
Yeah, that changes things. If we go across the franchise, it changes, doesn't it? Let's be fair.
Oh, well, I'd love to hear all of them. Open up the floor, James. Go on.
Do it.
I mean, in their own way, Stinky Pete.
Oh,
he's got...
Mate, he's a perv.
He's got babes, you know.
He's randy. He's
a proper randy bastard.
Yeah, so we can all agree on Stinky Pete.
Yeah, he's stanky. I don't like him.
Also, you know what gives me horny vibes? Wheezy.
Oh yeah.
Wheezy the penguin that's been left on the shelf.
Really? He gives me old gentleman vibes.
He's cute. I'd go on a date with Wheezy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, see, we'd all go on a date with Wheezy.
And that's his game.
What are you doing now? That's his game. He starts all with, I got no voice. I've lost my voice box. Next thing you know, he's singing some fucking jazz number at the end of the show.
Sinatra,
you know,
yeah.
That is my game as well. To be fair, I just pretend I'm losing my voice the whole time, and then
yeah.
That's right. And then you whip out some. Yeah, I do it all the time. I got a tickly throat, and then come back and we're singing Dragon Force Through the Fire and the Flames, like just going out, you know.
So I think from the whole franchise, it's got to be Stinky Pete. He gives me those creepy, horny vibes. But I think from the first film, it's got to be Bo Peep. She makes a line after Woody saves her, and it's promiscuous. You know, it
makes him blush.
Mm-hmm.
It's something you hear after the watershed, not on Toy Story 1, but
not Christmas Eve on BBC One. You know, pre-watershed. You don't expect that.
We got to have the jokes for the parents. They're the ones spending the money.
Yeah, you do, but it's pretty horny considering their toys as well. Like, now that we're talking about it like this, do I ever want to watch it again? Probably, but food for thought.
I've got a couple more questions for you, lads.
Yeah.
The next one on my list: Andy's mum, MILF or MIRF?
Stop. Stop.
Now, I don't mind kicking off by saying that in number 1, she's a MIRF. In number 2, she's a MIRF.
No. Stop.
In
What's
number
a
3,
stop.
when
What's a
the animation
MIRF?
gets
What's
a
a
little bit
MIRF?
better,
What's a
a
MIRF?
MIRF is a mum I would run from.
That's mean. I don't. She's definitely not a MIRF. I wouldn't run away from her.
All right. Fuck, marry, kill. Andy's mum in Toy Story 1, Andy's mum in Toy Story 2, or Andy's mum in Toy Story 3. That's what I'm saying. The glow up is ridiculous.
Oh, I didn't realize how much he changed. Yeah. Can I just opt out and just go for the Miss Incredible, please? Elastigirl.
Yes.
Ooh.
You know what?
Whew. Gee.
It's getting hot. We're
I'm
gonna have to come
simping.
back.
I can't watch The Incredibles. I can't do it because I just spend the whole film like
drooling into your pants.
yeah. I can't watch the film. I still haven't seen Incredibles 2.
Oh, that one is ridiculous.
I can't do it.
You're doing the right thing.
No, because I'll start acting out. I can't.
Wait, have you not seen it?
No, I actually haven't seen it. No,
Oh.
not because I think it'd be too horny. Just because I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
Is it horny though?
So the film, obviously, Toy Story, it starts with Andy's 6th birthday. Now, I don't know if you guys remember what presents his friends bring him, but luckily for you, I wrote them down. So I'm going to pose you the question of which is the worst present to receive for your 6th birthday. The pile is quite big, and obviously there's a lot more than are on the list. But I just want to pose the question to you guys: what is the worst present to receive on your 6th birthday?
Mhm.
So the first present that he opens is a lunchbox.
Yes, suck.
No, that sucks ass.
But you got to eat.
You do got to eat.
It's a practical present.
So, I like those as well. I prefer practical presents to very superficial ones.
I prefer practical.
So
But when you're 6,
don't remember being 6.
all right, someone got a lunchbox for their birthday.
Still had to eat.
Alright.
Had to eat. Wait, hang on. Sorry. Did anyone else used to worry that they were going to get bullied for their lunchbox at school?
I didn't have a lunchbox. I just had clear Tupperware.
Yeah, no, I think
I
I,
feel
I
like
used to get bullied
yeah.
for what was in it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I
No,
did.
I got told off. I felt so bad. I felt so guilty. My mum put like a penguin chocolate bar in my lunchbox one time because she's like being so sweet. She's like, "Oh, it's a nice treat." I got told off by the dinner lady because you're not supposed to have chocolate. And I came out after school, told my mum in the playground. I was like, "Oh, I got told off today. I wasn't allowed to eat this." And she looked so upset. She looked so heartbroken. She's like, "I was just trying to do something nice." And I was like, "I know that, Mum. I know that." And
Oh, that's awful.
and I still feel it here. I was like, "Mum,
Yeah.
you absolute saint, absolute sweetheart, absolute saint." So,
You know what? For Christmas this year, you should get her a penguin bar. Wrap it up.
no,
Yeah, that'd be sweet. I got I remember distinctly in year 4, my packed lunch, mum would get a big bag of Doritos and then sort of portion them out throughout the week. And then on the final day, there was no point portioning it out because there was one portion left in the bag. So then you just eat it from the bag. So I was obviously eating some. Remember the flavors, the tangy cheese Doritos from the big bag. I remember a teacher came in and was just like, "It's quite a lot of Doritos. There's a big bag for you, isn't it?" I was like, bearing in mind I was a fat year 4, I was a fat 8-year-old. I was self-conscious. There it was. The nail in the coffin, that was.
yeah,
Before teacher coming in, you little,
she getting fat shamed by a dinner lady.
It's when you decided to turn your
Little
life around.
Yeah.
little fatty cunt. You don't need any more of those, do you?
Wow. Yellow card. So yeah, you got fat shamed by a dinner lady.
Did. Yeah.
That's
Fat shamed by the lady.
that's just you. That's the UK, mate. Or was it a dinner lady or a teacher?
The learning support mid between
Part-timers.
Not quite the lady. No, yeah.
That's what my mum is. You did.
Teaching assistant, the TA.
My mum's a TA. My mum's a TA.
So's my mum.
Mate, can you stop dissing my mother? Because I will not do this. She's a saint that gives me penguin bars even when it's contraband. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's warning number 1. You get 4 or 5 of them. No more.
No more yellow cards.
No more. Right. Yeah. So lunchboxes. I had an Action Man lunchbox when I was proper young, and I think someone said something about it, and I didn't want it anymore.
Action Man, can't get them anymore today, can you? Can't do anything these days.
No Action Man.
Oh well, nowadays if you say you're white in English, they'll throw you away in jail. What's the bit? I can't remember what it is.
Stuart Lee.
Stuart Lee. Yeah. That's such a funny bit, man.
These
It's
days,
so
you
good.
say you're English,
Yeah.
they'll arrest you and throw you in jail.
Yeah.
Are you
I said,
saying?
really? Are you saying
These days?
these days? Yeah,
If
these
you're
days.
English.
These days. That's such a good bit.
Anyway, so lunchbox number 2 present he receives is bed sheets.
Yep.
And now Mr. Potato Head even responds to that by saying, "Who invited that kid? That's a
rude.
terrible present for a 6-year-old boy.
It's a present. Yeah, Potato Head, relax,
I'd
man.
rather a gift card, you know."
Well, no, because not when you're a kid, because you don't know what you want. 'Cause you're stupid at that age. I was dumb. I didn't know what I wanted when I was 6.
But that's not a present for Andy. That's a present for Andy's MILF mother.
Got to sleep.
Yeah. And also, it technically is story building because he got the Buzz Lightyear sheets. He would have got a Buzz Lightyear lunchbox, you know, when his room changes all from Woody to.
I didn't even think of that.
Man, yeah, that's what I mean. When you've had Woody on your sheets for years, you need to get some new sheets.
Particularly with that MILF running around.
Yeah.
Woody on your sheets.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
They do
So,
sheets all the time, boys.
that's
You
it,
know,
yeah.
guys.
Does
Yeah, guys.
Potato Head? No.
All right, moving on. The next present he receives is a board game of battleships.
Sick. Timeless.
Yeah.
I stand.
Yeah,
I gotta say,
Battleship.
that's a great present.
Yeah, and it gets use in the film as well because someone's playing it against someone else, and they Piggy Boy in it.
Yeah.
Piggy.
Ham. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Ham and is it Potato Head?
Rex, surely.
Is it Rex? It might be Rex. I don't know.
Yeah, because he says, "Oh, you hit," because it hits him, and then he says, "You're looking somehow, you're seeing somehow."
Yeah, I don't know. Have you seen what is it in Harold and Kumar where the 2 British girls in the toilets play battleships? Have you seen that?
No.
It's so
God,
funny. It's so funny.
Seen Harold and Kumar try to get to White Castle. That's ridiculous.
I think it's in that. I think it's in that film. It's like quite near the start.
Years.
It's so funny, man. I love that film. Yeah, it's just these 2 British girls with like terribly over exaggerated like posh accents, and they both just go into the toilets and have like diarrhea and have like a sort of call and response back and forth with their diarrhea. Call it, "You damn, you sank my battle shit," and that, you know, that was funny.
Love that.
Yeah, it's great.
Any more presents?
Yeah, presents.
That was it. That's the list. And then the
Only
only
3.
other thing he gets is the Buzz Lightyear doll from his mother.
No, that's a cop out. So what's the worst or what's the best?
So what's the worst present to receive from your friend as a 6-year-old? Battleship, lunchbox, or bed sheets?
Lunchbox.
Yeah, probably the lunchbox.
You really would prefer bed sheets to a lunchbox as a 6-year-old?
I don't know, mate.
I think I'd rather have a cool lunchbox.
Bed sheets were exciting.
Are they?
That's a sign you're getting old, dude.
I had Spider-Man bed sheets when I was younger. They were epic.
I got new bed sheets recently.
Yeah.
My little brother, his bed sheets are my bed sheets from when I was his age. Also, like one or 2 sets are. One was like it's got like football people all over it. It's bloody epic. And I saw it on his bed.
I had hand-me-downs from my sister as well. I would still prefer a lunchbox.
Yeah. Well, I think you cycle through lunchboxes quicker. You get a bit more wear and tear on them. You can't, you know. So
Not in my bed, mate. You get a couple of wears and tears in there. You know what I'm saying?
that's fucking disgusting. That is disgusting. I don't want that. I don't want to hear that smut. And certainly not in Andy's bed. He's 6 years old. What do you think he's doing in there?
I'm talking about me.
Right. Well, you're in
This guy.
You're in a 6-year-old's bed. No. No.
All right, moving on.
Yellow card.
All right. Did any line stand out as particularly good to you guys?
Absolutely.
Or any line deliveries? Because I love the line, and I even love the delivery more of "You are a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity."
You are a toy. Yeah, isn't that? Yeah, that's a good line. That's a good line. I like that.
That's a good line.
There's loads.
For me, it's more of a sound than a line. I never knew it was in there.
What is it?
Buzz originally falls out the window, or is some would say pushed by Woody out the window.
Controversial.
There's a Willem scream.
Wilhelm.
Did you notice that?
A Wilhelm scream.
Wilhelm scream. Did you hear that? I did not. The first time I listened to it when I was
A kid.
Snapper. Whippersnapper.
And didn't know what screaming was.
Yeah.
We've all watched Star Wars. We've all watched over 400 films.
There is a couple of, obviously, John Lasseter kind of cut his teeth in animation at Disney and then moved to ILM. There are loads of references to Star Wars in this film.
Yeah.
The one that I picked out the most, and again, this is trivia that is really popular and it's been said countless times, and we definitely don't need to repeat it. But when Buzz is put on the bed as he gets introduced to Woody, it's the same breathing as Darth Vader, except pitched up to sound less scary.
Very cool.
Interesting.
Very nice.
And then obviously another reference that I really like as a Kubrick fanboy is that the carpets in Sid's house.
I saw that. I was going to say that. But I didn't want to sound mental. I didn't want to sound crazy.
It's the
yeah, it is, right? Yeah.
The carpet in Sid's house is the same as the Overlook Hotel in The Shining.
I hadn't noticed that. That's.
I totally spotted that, and I was like, it's identical, but I don't want to say it because I'm going to sound dumb.
No, that's like a super popular bit of trivia, and I thought
that's brilliant.
I didn't even think it was worth including on my list.
Amazing. Can I just? I'd like to talk a little bit about the soundtrack because I think it's amazing.
I would love to, and I would like to just start off by saying that something that really confused me about this film is that in the opening credits it says music by Randy Newman.
Yeah.
Fades away, fades in, songs written by Randy Newman.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So it's
I thought they
difference.
were the same thing.
Well, no, because there's songs in it, isn't there? So that You've Got a Friend in Me, and then there's the bit where he's looking up at the window just after he realizes he's a toy and he tries to fly, and there's that song.
Is that
so
not music?
Well, no, because there's the musical score, isn't there? And then there's the separate soundtrack songs which you'd see on like an album and that, which I'm pretty sure there probably was an album. So I think that's what it means. I think because I agree there's one soundtrack overall, but I think they're differentiating between the fact that not only did he write these songs, which probably went on to like chart and sell in some case, like You've Got a Friend in Me.
Definitely did. Yeah.
It would have charted. So I'm sure they're distinguishing between those songs and then the overall score for the film.
That makes sense.
Which are both excellent. I think the music's it's a huge part of why the film's so iconic, if you ask me. Everyone knows that song. Everyone knows You Got a Friend in Me.
But even parts of the soundtrack, I really recognized little cues and stings from like Monsters Inc. and The Incredibles.
Yeah. It's strange because you do see that sort of style in Pixar films. These little cues and that where you know that it's a Pixar film. And I feel like a lot of those were born in Toy Story. It's films which are quintessentially Pixar films. The likes of Monsters Inc. is the one that comes to mind alongside Toy Story for me.
The Monsters Inc. soundtrack is maybe one of the best film soundtracks I think.
It's amazing. So
and that one was actually also written by Randy Newman.
Was it?
Yeah.
There you
he
go.
also did Cars as well. So he obviously is really quite
Brilliant.
close with John Lasseter.
So it's like Tim Burton and what's his face? The guy that did Danny Elfman. Exactly that. I didn't know that Randy Newman did the music for those ones too. It's very cool.
Which again, that's what I mean. Like I just heard certain chords and I don't know music and jargon.
No, it's motifs, isn't it? It's
that's the bloody word, motifs. I heard motifs. And then he went on in 2019. He did Toy Story 4.
Yeah.
Obviously to say goodbye to the franchise, but then he immediately went to go work on Marriage Story.
Well, Randy, of course he did. Yeah, that was great too. Fair play, Randy Newman. My favorite Randy Newman thing though is that episode of Family Guy in season 2. You know, the one with what is it? It's the apocalypse or something. And he's I love that. That's so funny. I'm trying to remember.
That's the thing. Like that was my first. This really goes to show a lot about my childhood. But my first exposure to who Randy Newman was as a man was that Family Guy sketch.
Oh, mate, 100%, 100%. And then obviously you know the songs, but you don't know the name attached to the songs. Yeah. So when you see Randy Newman in Family Guy, for me, when I was probably realistically a kid as well, like that's how you know the name and the face. And as you grow up, you think, that's the guy. So you associate the two, don't you?
Left foot, right foot, left foot. Right foot.
Fat man with his kids and dog. I love that.
She takes a bite 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, stops, It's the leather working. I still remember what he says.
Take the long,
Dumb.
hard look at Randy.
This is dumb.
Oh, that's a great bit. Don't even try.
I think there's
That's one of my favorite episodes of Family Guy as well. I love that. I love that.
I think there's one section that I really wanted to touch on, and it's
Please.
Sid.
Yeah, man. Problem child.
Sid.
Little creep.
Sid is
He's scary.
fuck me. There were so many parts. Psychopath, absolute psychopath, terrifying. He's got a vice in his room. Parenting. Where are the parents? What are they doing?
Well, that's it.
I definitely knew some DT kids who had clamps and vices in their room.
Mate, could never be me.
They do a really good job of kind of encapsulating the spirit of a childhood bully as a villain to these toys as well, because you get the feeling that if Andy and Sid met on the street, you know, it's going down. There's 3 hits: Sid hitting Andy hitting the floor, the ambulance hitting 90.
Right. Yeah.
The kind of twist that he kind of makes these Frankenstein toys, and then towards the end the toys kind of get their revenge. Like, I love that whole setup, and I love the way it works. And obviously there's that Easter egg that he comes back in Toy Story 3 as a rubbish man.
Yeah.
And then there's that kind of widely known theory that he got that job specifically because he knew toys were alive, so he would go through bins, try and find toys who were thrown out, and then rescue them.
That's good. I like. I mean,
it's only a theory.
I hadn't heard that before, but I like that. That's pretty cool. No, I think going back to that bit where all the toys sort of revolt, that man, that's so good. I'd forgotten about that, and watching it back, it's definitely
terrifying.
My favorite bit of the film, man. It's so good. I love that. Amazing.
And I think that image of the baby, the spider baby, is very.
Oh, it's fucking terrifying.
But you know what? As a kid, that spider baby wasn't even the one that I was most scared of.
I was going to ask you guys this. Which one was it that scared you the most?
Yeah.
For me, it was the giant muscle body with the fly.
Yeah.
Didn't like it at all.
I agree.
For me, it was the doll coming out of the sandbox. Oof.
Ooh, yeah, it's a bit creepy as well.
That whole scene, that was terrifying. Like, watching that back now. Ooh.
Oh man,
as a kid, I'd been
excellent.
Yeah.
I also wasn't a huge fan of the pterodactyl head on the doll.
I was going to say that one too, but also the guy on the skateboard was kind of creepy.
I think we can all say that the hooker was she's pretty hot.
Do those legs go all the way? You know.
Any closing thoughts on Toy Story, and also what are your rating out of 5 for Toy Story?
Can we do half stars?
Yes.
Yeah.
4.5 out of 5 for me.
Wow.
Strong.
I love this film. And the thing is, I would sit there after the film and I would think, where, you know, when you mark a film, when you're giving it a rating, you think, where does it lose marks? I can't think really where Toy Story loses marks. So 5 being the perfect film, this is as strong a 4.5 as you can get for me, because I can't really pin down where it loses marks. It's just, for me personally now, at my age, and you know what I enjoy right now, this ain't the perfect film for me at the moment, but it's bloody close. 4.5.
So I was going to ask what loses at the 0.5, or is it just because you're not the target audience?
Well, it's literally just a case of, like, it's not really for me anymore, I don't think, but that's just because I'm not necessarily the target audience. I still love it. I still think it's an amazing film, but in terms of like my enjoyment, I'm not like rushing to watch it again because it's just not that for me anymore. But I love it. It's, as close to a perfect film as you can get, really.
Interesting. I'm going to pull in a hot take here. For me, it's out of 5, a strong 3.5.
Whoa.
So the reason I give it that score is I don't think there is enough story development and depth as there is with 2 and 3. 2 is my all-time favorite. I would say that is nearer a 4.5 than any of the other films. I would say number 3 is pushing a 4, and then the fourth one probably back down to a 3.5. It was a nice close to the story, but nothing too special. But I just feel, looking back, I don't know, and I don't know if it's because of the time that they were released. Maybe the second one was nearer when I would have been watching the film, like actively remembering it. I just feel there is so much more nostalgia attached to the second one, and the depth, the Al's toy barn, the repainting Woody, the Cheeto dust on Al's fingers. Like, there's so much that like floods back to me. And same with the third one. The third one I thought was terrifying. It was emotional with the strawberry love bear.
Oh man,
Lotso.
I cried so much. I cried so much in that film.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
mate.
I feel like if I watched it now, I would probably do the same. I think I would still be upset.
100%. 100%.
I think that goes to show why the fourth one is pretty weak in a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah.
I still enjoyed it a lot. I will say that I still really, really enjoyed the fourth one. I think it's a great film, but I mean the first three are just so outstanding, each in their own right. I think, not to hijack your point here, James, but I would agree the other two films are incredibly strong as well. I have this like affinity for films that kick off something special. So like my favorite Harry Potter film personally is the Philosopher's Stone, just because like, and my favorite Lord of the Rings film as well is Fellowship. I love the magic of like where this all started, like this huge thing which is epic, and it turned into something much bigger than that first film. I love when it gets off on that first foot. I think there's something so magic about that. I think that's the same case with Toy Story for me.
And in Toy Story 2, it has one of my favorite set pieces in any animated film in history, and that is the airport.
Oh, yep. Magic.
Yeah,
Magic.
absolutely.
With all of the luggage,
and
chasing after the plane.
Yeah.
I love everything about that.
Beautiful.
But that's interesting. I think I'm going to go with the middle ground and say that it was a solid 4 out of 5. Just for the reasons that you guys have already said. I can't help but feel a little bit biased with the other films. Obviously looking at this retroactively, but retrospectively.
Retrospectively.
Obviously looking at this one retrospectively, I just can't shake that feeling. But it is just an all-round film. There's nothing that I can criticize it on, except from the fact that, like I said with Aaron, maybe I'm not the target audience, so therefore it's not written for my enjoyment.
I mean, the thing is, while we're on the topic of Toy Stories and ratings, like I probably, for the same reason, I'd have to watch them again because it's been a while, but I would probably give 2 and 3 the same rating as I gave this one, because it's like they're at least on par, if not better. I think as a trilogy, if we're talking about the first 3 films, I think they're just absolutely incredible. They're brilliant.
Well, maybe we'll come back to Toy Story 2 and 3.
Okay, Dad.
Hiccuping.
Okay,
I'm going to say it again without hiccuping. Maybe we'll come back to Toy Story. Maybe we'll come back to Toy Story 2 and 3.
Tango Bravo heard.
Do you do that when you're playing games? Because that is perfect.
Tango Bravo, yes I do, over.
All right. What should we do for an ending? Should we just music now? Or how does this end? Do we say thank you? Do we say goodbye? Is anyone listening?
Well, no, I mean, no one's going to be listening. I'm listening. Do you mean in terms of an audience?
Yeah.
Well, no one's going to be listening other than us. Like, no one's sitting through the whole thing. No one's sitting through all of that.
Oh well.
Right?
I had fun. Did you have fun?
Yeah, I'm not doing this for anyone else.
I had great fun, yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Cool.
I just farted.
Bye. That will be the ending.
What? Me guffing?
You just got it.